What is the best example of just because you can doesn't mean you should? Blindly trusting traffic laws as a pedestrian. Yes. If you get hit, it's the driver's fault. But all it takes is for one driver not paying attention to potentially end your life. You may have been right. But you're still dead, is my dad's saying for this situation. Posting on social media that you're going on vacation. A high school friend of mine did that a couple of years ago. Multiple posts on Facebook announcing she and her husband were going to Bermuda for 2 weeks. They came home to a burgled house. Bank loans and credit cards. Just because you're approved doesn't mean you can afford it. Credit cards are a gray area. For some people they're a bad idea because they'll keep accruing interest. If you're good at keeping up with paying them in full, you won't have a problem with them. Me. Contemplating buying an axe this weekend so I can do some axe throwing in my backyard. Why? Because I can. You can get decent throwing hatchets for less than $50. Name your kid idiotic names. I have a member of my extended family with 2 kids. The first kid, Connor, was allowed to name the second kid with no restrictions and named him Zipline. So there is a 4-year-old kid in my family tree named Zipline. That device allowing an Amazon carrier to unlock and open the front door of your house to deliver packages. Either one of the self-professed genius tech bros in Silicon Valley didn't think this through. Or they're incredibly naive about how easily something like that could be abused. The dog walking company I work for uses this for when the owners aren't home. Not even a one-time code. It's the same code for every walker unless the pet parents changes it. It's mind-boggling to me that so many people are super cool letting strangers with nice profiles into their homes. I could have taken stuff so many times. Never would, but sometimes I can't help but notice. On the flip side, in the back of my mind I worry that an owner could claim I damaged or stole something and I get in trouble since it'd be hard to prove I didn't. Edit, oh dear gosh, what have I done? And I know it's innocent until proven guilty legally. I am more concerned about the company choosing the owner's side. Not really about legal action. It's just something I think about from time to time. Drunk calling your ex. Or your boss. Or my mom. Please stop, Derek. Bullying is a big one. I tried to bully a person once. But they just laughed. Apparently I am not a convincing bully. That's how I found out the bullying career is not for me. Competition was too tough at my school. In the end, I finished at victim side of things and required professional assistance of the teacher in order to enforce anti-bullying regulations. Abuse your position, power. People who want power are generally the people who should least have it. Just because my asshole can stretch to 8 inches and a raccoon can go through a 4-inch hole, does not mean I should shove 2 raccoons up my ass. How else am I supposed to get them past airport security? Have more kids than able to handle, feed, clothe, spend time with, etc. Closing parenthesis. This is so important. You're bringing whole humans into the world, not dolls you can display on a shelf. Personal anecdote, I was with friends. And we were just hanging around having pizza. I'm challenged to put a bunch of different sauces and toppings on a slice of cheese pizza. Because I'll eat any weird food when challenged. The gauntlet included sriracha, horseradish, honey mustard, cottage cheese, and whipped cream. I downed it, and was sick for the rest of the night. No vomiting, but it was not fun. Never combine sriracha, whipped cream, and horseradish. Just because I usually have an iron stomach does not mean I should eat everything I'm challenged to eat. I mean, there's nothing physically stopping you from eating poop, but why would you? Your taste buds and nose physically stop you from doing it, but a twisted mind does not care. When I was like 2, I was taking a bath and my mom stepped out for a few seconds to answer the phone. She says she came back to me with turds floating around the bathtub. Apparently I was picking them up and eating them as they went by like some sort of floating shit buffet. So I'm hoping there is an age contingency to this, otherwise I was a twisted little toddler. Here's one from Southern California back during the bank crisis of 2008. An unhappy citizen scrawled some disparaging comments about the bank on the bank's sidewalk with chalk. The police took the report and the city attorney charged the guy with a felony. They offered the man a plea deal to that felony with no jail and 5 years supervised probation. The guy passed. There was absolutely no publicity until it went to court, where it went to a jury which found him not guilty. The press finally saw the absurdity of the whole case and made a fuss since the city's tab was $300. Back during the recession. The city attorney blamed it on a lack of communication with his underlings. When asked how the unkind words were eventually cleaned up, a bank employee testified he sprayed it with a hose and it all ran off to the gutter. Pulling out your phone and taking unsolicited videos, pictures of people in public places for the entertainment of the internet. Once had some girl take pictures of me, very obviously, then laughed to herself while I was having a panic attack on the train. It's definitely not a nice feeling. Just being quiet sometimes. My brother had passed away. I was out of country, so I had to return. In doing so, I went to a favorite restaurant that we both worked at as teenagers. Same hostess. Most of the same coworkers even later. Upon leaving, one of the waitresses said, "Please tell your brother I said hi. He was so great." I just smiled at her and told her I would. Not to lie, but her comment was so innocent and she was at work. No reason to bring up a tragedy and in turn make her feel bad. Cannibalism. It's actually legal, because no country in the world actually has a law against it. In fact, the laws were against you murdering someone, not eating them. If somebody slashed their own arm off with a sword and allowed you to eat it, you could. Should you, though? No. A lot of states in the US just turn it into a desecration of a corpse, charge, or other loopholes as a way to still lock the person up. But nope. No cannibalism laws. Edit. After reading all these replies, I think it's worth speculating why there isn't a law in place. My theory, which may be wrong, is that cannibalism is such an uncommon occurrence and so many cases involve desperation and survival, that it's likely a gray area. Cannibalism, when done in a malicious way, usually has other crimes attached that can be addressed: murder, manslaughter, corpse desecration, etc. If there is truly no other possible crime to attach to the incident, it was most likely an innocent act for survival. That likely makes judging the occurrence in court much easier. It's surprisingly easy to fit a light bulb in your mouth, but almost impossible to remove it without it shattering. Being a huge poss like ripping open a homeless man's tent or stealing someone's dog, then covering it in cement and glue. Instantly locks dogs inside house and never lets them out without supervision again. Underage unprotected sex. I'm no prude, but it's one of those things that you just shouldn't do if you can't fully deal with the consequences yourself. If you can't drive yourself to the local pharmacy to get condoms, or to a center to get tested if you don't want to disclose shit to your parents, you shouldn't be doing it. Not to ruin the fun, but STDs now are rampant, and things like syphilis, which depending on the person can have little to no symptoms, can kill unsuspecting people young and suddenly years later. The risk to benefit ratio isn't really in your odds. Not to mention underage pregnancy. Getting pregnant underage isn't a crime and people shouldn't be bullied for it. But it can mess with your life, especially if you are in high school and you've got plenty of time to figure that stuff out later. Just something to think about. Smiley face. Unprotected sex at any age if you can't fully deal with the consequences yourself. Try growing a mustache in the U.S. Army. Under Army Regulation 672(1) you can. If you are in any leadership position. Good luck. Having kids. And if you have kids and aren't married, that doesn't mean you need to get married. My brother got convinced that by my parents and her parents to marry the girl he had a kid with. They were already living together and were both taking care of this baby, and they had an alright relationship even though the entire thing started from a one-night stand, so they were still getting to know each other. Suddenly, he had to propose, which was coincidentally 3 weeks after I proposed to my girlfriend of 5 years. But whatever. Then, they had to get legally married before the year was over so they could start claiming tax benefits for the next full year. Apparently money was that tight that marriage was the best option? In reality, we all would have supported them and my brother would have worked hard to provide. Fast forward 4 years and they've got a second kid and holidays are rough. My brother looks like he hates life. He hasn't been the same since before his first kid. I get a call one day from him telling me that she's moved out and they are separating. I learn all the details about her racking up credit card debt from bad spending habits. Always spending late nights at work. And the final straw was when she literally didn't come home for 2 weeks. He finally found out where she was, another guy's house, and said he's done. He then took care of the kids by himself for 2 months before she got her shit together and realized she didn't want to lose custody. Fast forward 3 more years and he's divorced and living with a great girlfriend of 2 years who's helping him raise his kids. They have joint custody. They switch homes every week. He lost half his 401k savings, $25,000, and half his bank account. Thankfully he's much happier and returned to his old self a few months after his separation. So just because you can get married doesn't mean you need to. Wait a few years and see if you actually like the person you're with before signing a legally binding document that will cost tens of thousands to undo.